Categorically false. That's a response by the Kansas Department of Commerce to allegations of financial misconduct made by a now dead former employee.
It is a story we've been keeping you updated on over the last few weeks. It started with Jonathan Clayton's disappearance August 3rd. Brandon Stitt has new developments tonight.
Yeah, Mike, Rachel. Jonathan Clayton was found dead in his crashed pickup near Newton 3 weeks after he disappeared. Questions about his background and allegations of fraud continue to linger. And as that investigation moves forward, some of those questions may never be answered. Jonathan Clayton, a former state commerce employee turned interim city clerk for Peabody, went missing in early August. After his disappearance, information surfaced about his possible misappropriation of COVID grant funding that he helped secure for Molinville and Peabody. Then August 8th, 5 days after his disappearance, the Kansas Reflector reports an email was sent to news organizations on Clayton's behalf. The email accused Commerce Secretary David Toland of scheming with Senate President Ty Masterson and former House Speaker Ron Rickman to redirect COVID funds. The Commerce Department now responding, saying the allegations are categorically false. The statement also saying it brought in an independent contractor to review the agency's conduct, and it's assisting local agencies to investigate Clayton's volunteer work for potential fraud. Clayton's background is also being reviewed, including felony convictions out of Pennsylvania. And with those felony convictions, Clayton was still hired by the Commerce Department. Today, the governor's office releasing a statement. That statement saying Toland and Governor Laura Kelly will pursue changes to the limited background check policies that led to Clayton's hiring, despite those Pennsylvania convictions.